Hi, welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever changing world. One of the good things about growing old is people judge you less when you say sometimes things outrageous. I'm getting older and I've had a fascinating life. I also have opinions. You may not agree with these opinions, and I may not care. Even now, I am passionate about many things. I love to learn. I love quotes. I love my animals on the farm, and I care about my country. Join me as we explore loving life, even as we age. Today is August 1st, 2024, and this is episode 62, Blasphemy. First of all, we're going to do some farm happenings. I have my newest batch of layer chicks have hatched, and they're in the brooder right now. I think I've got 12 in there, and they seem to be doing. I haven't had any losses since they've hatched, and that's good too. Beethoven was coming and going. He's my big livestock guardian dog. He is intact, as they say, and I get the feeling he had a girlfriend because he disappeared one morning, and you always feel bad. You always try to look at the other two dogs or whatever other animals around and try to catch their mood. And I don't know, I just didn't have a good feeling about it, but I was wrong. That he showed back up about 4:30 that afternoon, and I don't know how far he came, but he was panting hard and really hot and struggling to breathe, and he stuck around for a day. Then he disappeared again, and then he stayed disappeared for a couple of days, and he finally showed back up, and he's been. I think he's disappeared once or twice more, but he's been home since then. So apparently, his girlfriend is no longer as receptive as she was, and he's here for the duration. I did get Waddles, my sow, and her now adult girl pigs moved, and so that was a pretty big undertaking. I did a video on that one, basically because I did it by myself, and it's just a lot of work, but I got it done. I was kind of proud of myself, and I was glad. We got to babysit last Saturday my youngest granddaughter, Ivy. And she is a cutie. I know, as a grandma, you always say that, she's 2.5. She'll be 3 in November. And both of her parents are highly intelligent. So, therefore, she is probably going to be highly intelligent. And she is kind of interesting, too, because she doesn't have the terrible two attitude. She does want to do things by herself, but she doesn't pitch fits, she doesn't scream, she doesn't, she's not uh, belligerent and defiant or anything like that, but she does talk. She's got a pretty big vocabulary for all the nouns. There's just all the connecting words that are not quite all there. But honestly, and it was fun. It was really fun to watch her. And of course, I have dogs that go in and out, and every time I say, "Okay, dogs, y'all ready to go out?" She goes, "Yeah, outside, outside." It was 100 degrees outside. So every time she wanted to go outside, it was like, "Not you. Okay, we'll go outside for a few minutes, but not for very long." One way or another, we got to babysit her almost all day long, and it was very cool. I don't, and they don't live that far from us, but I'm busy and doing things with my other granddaughter and trying to do YouTube channels and farm work and stuff. And I just don't spend as much time with Ivy as I want. So it was really a nice day to spend with her. We've been on baby rabbit watch. There was a cool spell in there. I think it was Nicole Sauce that uh, when it gets too hot, the rabbits shoot blanks. The buck does. Well, I tried to find out what the too hot is, and best I come up with anything over 70 degrees. It's like, well, that's not what we're going to be doing. So it was in the 80s, upper 70s and early lower 80s, and I tried to get them. Oh, my two does bred, and so I'm on bunny rabbit or the baby rabbit watch, and we'll see how it goes. For one of the does was pulling hair, and then she quit. So I don't know. I think my food allergies are coming back. I don't know, which kind of makes me concerned, which means maybe my Dupixent is not working like it used to. And it was said that after about 4 years, that could have been an issue. I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, I decided to have some ice cream, and dairy is one of my things. And usually I just have skin issues, and I've been having some skin issues lately. But I had some ice cream and I was puking a lot with that. And I thought, well, I wonder if that was what was the deal. Then Sunday, I don't cook on Sundays. We do leftovers. I didn't want leftovers, but I had some homemade yogurt that I'd made, and I put some honey in with it, and some granola and some dried cranberries, and it tasted good. But later on that night, I was puking almost all night, and my ribs are even still just a little bit sore. So I'm wondering if if my food allergies are coming back, and I have to admit that kind of breaks my heart. But that's life; it keeps going on too. All right, what I'm listening to, apparently on this first one, Stormfront by Jim Butcher. It was written in 2000. I'm listening to it on audiobooks. And when I was listening to it, I'm thinking, this is not my normal genre of books. And usually, if I hear something on a podcast or something, that's kind of how I find some of the books that I listen to or read or whatever. And so, but this one was, I think it was a fantasy novel with vampires, and it's a detective novel. It's not been bad, but I got to thinking, why did I download this book to listen to it? And so I got to researching and looking, and I finally discovered way down on the page that probably the Stormfront book I was looking to download, and I didn't pay attention to the uh, author, was the one about Black Hawk Down over, I think, in Bosnia and stuff. And I thought, oh, that's probably the one I wanted. So even though this is a fiction book called Storefront by Jim Butcher, and it's been an interesting listen. It's just not one I usually do. So that is a trade. And then I just started just today The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, 2002. So those are the two books that I'm listening to right now. And I remind you, I always try to do a what I call a good for me book or some sort of fiction book, and I also do nonfiction. And I change off days that I'm listening to them when I'm doing chores. The rest of the time, I'm listening to podcasts unless I'm exercising, and then listen to music then. What I'm reading, I'm still reading The Grow System by Marjorie Wildcraft, and that was written in 2021. I'm almost finished with When Is It Right to Die by Johnny Erickson Tada, 1992. And my novel is Trial at Fort Keogh, Keogh, Charles G. West. I just finished that one. So, in fact, I need to switch that out because I'm started on a new book. But those were the ones I was reading. All right, guys, let's get into the main subject. And I been hesitant. I've been trying to get my notes right on this one all week long. Usually, it only takes me about a day to get my thoughts right and then get the notes done, which is longer than most everybody else that does podcasts. But because for a variety of reasons, I try to be careful about what I say, and it just takes me a while to get my notes done up and stuff. But this one, I've taken a lot of time, a lot of thought in trying to figure out how I want to phrase this, because this is very important to me, and it's kind of been a bone of contention with me for a while. But let me get started. I said, warning, this is a podcast about religious beliefs, particularly Christianity. So there you go. That's where we are. And I'm going to talk about the 2024 Summer Olympics are here with much controversy, particularly surrounding the opening ceremonies. I didn't watch it because I was busy, but I truly love sports of almost all kinds, and I will spend some time watching different events. And I'm not even that particularly particular about the events. I like sports. When I saw the picture of the drag performance, I thought it was a meme, so I thought it was a joke. I mean, the one resembling the Last Supper. Then I found out that it truly happened, and I was angry. I will discuss the other explanation for this in a few minutes, but I strongly believe that drag performances of any kind should not be on national television. Children should not be exposed to this kind of behavior, and certainly the minor child in the performance is highly uncalled for. Those who believe that this is a poorly conceived way of thumbing the noses of the LGBTQ plus community at the conservative population they should also be angry. We've already been subject to satanic performance in the Grammy Awards in February 2023, and now France somehow decides that this performance is an appropriate way to show unity by insulting several religions, particularly Christians. The Last Supper is a beautiful depiction of Jesus' last meal before being crucified on the cross. I will admit that there are controversial issues even with this Da Vinci masterpiece. If nothing else, it inaccurately depicts Jesus and all of his apostles sitting on one side of the table. The LGBTQ plus community is dead set to convince the rest of the population that this behavior is very normal and even mainstream, working hard to convince our children that somehow God got it wrong and kids were born with the wrong gender. The policies being put in place in some states and cities that prohibit parents from being informed that their child wants to be transitioned as they're being groomed are preposterous. Being a teen is difficult enough as it is, and these people are stirring the pot. For a few days, we were told that the scene in the Olympic opening ceremonies was not the antics of someone trying to desecrate the Last Supper depiction, but it was a feast of celebration of the Greek god Dionysus and his loud, promiscuous parties. They also told us that they wanted everyone to feel included. Most of the population did not feel included in this show. Christians, Muslims, and I'm sure other religions that I'm not aware of were certainly not comfortable watching this lewd display. That makes it not just a Christian thing. It appears to me that the Greek god thing may have been true, but the Last Supper inclusion was mixed in to tell Christians throughout the world that they are in control and we need to get used to it. In fact, several days later, the French creators of this display was, in fact, based on Da Vinci's Last Supper, supporting the blasphemous behavior. And what are we Christians going to do about it? Probably nothing. This rankles me just about as badly. When the topics of transgenderism, homosexuality, political lies, human trafficking, and downright blasphemy against God Almighty, what usually comes out of the mouth of Christians, it's a sign of the times. It's God's will. It's the end times. We'll pray about it. Now, don't get me wrong. Prayer is very powerful and should certainly be a large part of our lives. But what are you going to do about these issues? I know some of you are homeschooling, gardening, homesteading, prepping, and distancing yourself from the rest of society. I get that. But just as importantly as spreading the gospel of Jesus, shouldn't we be standing up for our beliefs? Noah didn't just pray about the ark. He got up and went to work building it. The Good Samaritan didn't just pray over the injured traveler who had been attacked. He took care of him personally and even paid money for his care when he moved on. David didn't just pray that Goliath would be defeated. He gathered the stones and put him in a sling and slayed the giant. Paul didn't just pray that Gentiles to receive the good news. He went throughout the region preaching the gospel, being imprisoned and beaten for his efforts. Now, I'm not advocating violence of any kind. I'm just incredibly saddened that there are not more people speaking out against this blasphemy. Where are the representatives that we voted to speak up for us? Why are we not speaking up for ourselves? Yes, pray for these lost souls, but also guide them to the best of your ability to turn away from their sins. Yes, you will be ridiculed and mocked. That is the way of the world. I know that God wants us to pray. I'd like to think that He wants us to stand up for Him also. Make no mistake, God does not need us. We need Him. Guys, Jesus ain't back yet, and we've got work to do. But just in case you wonder how I felt about the whole thing. So my question of the day is, what are your thoughts on this matter? Am I full of it? Do you have ideas? Man, I tell you what, I would love to hear some suggestions on what we can do. Because like I said, I'm not advocating for us to stand up and take any sort of violent course. But surely there are some smart people out there that can figure out how we can combat this along with prayer. Don't get me wrong, but there are things that we should be and need to be doing to end this. Send me your email at theciaellis@gmail.com, theciaellis@gmail.com. Okay, I don't know if you guys, and I think there's been a dip in the Bitcoin here just in the last few days, but it's still been going up. Just before that, it was going up pretty good. I love my Fold card. It is a prepaid debit card that when you use it, then they've got stuff where you can even pay your bills and stuff with it too. They've got all kinds of merchants where if you buy things from those particular merchants, and it's a wide variety that and use your Fold card to pay for them, it helps you get satoshis, which are miniature little pieces of Bitcoin. And it does add up over time. It didn't cost you anything extra. It doesn't cost you anything to get the card. It doesn't cost you anything to use the Fold card, and you end up getting satoshi. So if you consider, I would consider doing getting that Fold card and transfer some money to it, start using it, and see how it goes. Monitor it, just kind of keep an eye on it so you can see what your options are. And then, like I just found out recently that President Trump has changed his stance on Bitcoin, and so that might be some way for you to think about it too. So go through the link below so that I can get a little bit of credit for using you signing up for the Fold card. That helps me get a few more satoshis also, and I'd appreciate that. All right. I would appreciate also if you tell others about this podcast. I'm getting better about getting these out. I was hoping to do them once a week, but I really did take a lot of time to try to get my wording right on this one, hopefully. But I can be found at grandmashomestead.farm, Grandma's Homestead YouTube channel, Farm Animal Life YouTube channel, Kinsey Lackey Sports YouTube channel. Uh, I am also on MeWe as Thecia Ellis. That is a, I don't know, it's kind of like Facebook, and I'm not sure how many people. It was one that MeWe was one of those platforms that people went to when Facebook had gotten so militant about doing things here a few years ago, basically during the last election and COVID and stuff. So a lot of people went to MeWe at the time, but I'm not sure there's still that many on there. But that I am there under Thecia Ellis. I'm also under Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble under some form of Thecia Ellis. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I would encourage you to pray about what we can be doing about this, and I really mean that. Pray about it. Figure out what we can do. I really do. I don't want to die and face God and say, "Oh, were we supposed to do something about all this blasphemy? Were we supposed to say something? I thought we were supposed to just pray and love people and help lead them to Jesus like that. I don't know. And if that's the way it's supposed to be, that's fine too. But pray about it and figure it out. We cannot be letting people smack us and blaspheming our God. We just can't. God bless you guys. I'll see you next time.